everyone. Welcome to the Glow Podcast. I have a very exciting guest here with me today. If you are new here, we are Taylor Marketing and we help skincare clinics, aesthetic clinics, and dermatologists grow their brands and increase their revenue through strategic marketing strategies. So if you're interested, drop a comment below. Mindy, I'm so excited to have you here. I would love for you to just kind of go ahead and introduce yourself so the listeners know who you are.
Great. Thank you, Taylor. Hi, everyone. I'm Mindy Silvernail. I'm the Director of Aesthetics at Tareen Dermatology. We're located in central Minnesota, and we also have one practice in Hudson, Wisconsin. For now, I'm sure we'll grow. Continue to grow, and I have over 12 years experience in the aesthetic industry.
Awesome. That's so cool. Yeah. And we'll definitely get into talking more about Tareen Dermatology and kind of what led you there. But to start out, what kind of led you to the aesthetics and dermatology industry in general?
So, my career path, I've always loved aesthetics, right? I think like most young girls, right?
Yeah.
But what really drew me into the field is I was a young mom. I had a son who had an immune deficiency. He was sick all the time. And I went back to school after doing in-home daycare for 11 years because I wanted to help people navigate the healthcare world. And so I started my journey in the medical and the aesthetics. I happened into the aesthetics. I
Yeah.
started in ENT facial plastics, spent over 11 years there. And then I had this great opportunity to relocate to the metro and start as the director of aesthetics and just really get to live my passion of helping other people feel confident in themselves with
Yeah.
treating dermatology.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah. I think the field of aesthetics is so unique kind of in the medical space because it is something that can be such a confidence booster and just really make people feel good and look good. So, and I think it's also a really fun side of the medical field too,
I always
like,
tell our gap year students, I'm the fun department.
yeah, no, exactly. Because I feel like a lot of it is very serious. It's never fun to go to like the doctor, the dentist, or most of those, you're not really looking forward to. But when you're going to your aesthetic clinic or your dermatologist and you're getting something elective, like it can be very fun.
And we get to help people just live their best lives. When they feel good about themselves, they're more confident in everything they do. And I love when somebody walks in unsure and when they walk out, their posture is different, right? And you
Yeah.
see it immediately. And it's just the best part of the day.
Yeah, I've talked to people that work as like receptionists or work at the check-in at aesthetic clinics and at dermatology offices, and like they can see almost like a noticeable difference when they're leaving compared to like when they came in,
Yes,
which
very
is
true.
which is so cool. And so kind of going into a little bit more about Tareen Dermatology, the clinic has grown obviously significantly with starting out with one provider to now you all have more than 30. What do you think are some of the key drivers behind scaling a clinic?
You've got to have the right people. So, a
Yeah.
little history on Tareen Dermatology. Tareen Dermatology was started by Dr. Mohiba Tareen in 2011. She is still the sole owner of the practice, which we love private practice. That was one of what drew me to working at Tareen Dermatology was that it's
Yeah.
private practice. And we have now grown to 9 locations and over 30 providers. And the passion starts at the top with the right people and leading everyone else. We all work there for a common purpose, and that's treating the patient with the utmost of care.
Yeah.
And everything stems from that in our practice. And then you've got your piece, you've got your people, you've got your policies, right? Because we've got to have policies in place to continue to scale and grow. And they've got to be, we've got to be able to do this at this location the same as we do it at the next location. And so that's how we've been successful at scaling and growing to all these locations so quickly. It's the right people and the right policies.
Yeah. And I think you said it really well. I think people are so important, especially with something that is more personal, like dermatology and cosmetics, aesthetics. You want people that are going to make you you feel good, you know? And it's funny because we're kind of entering this age a little bit of not so much human contact, you know, with things like AI, social media. And so it is funny that that's still such a driving force for people continuing to come back, is really other people.
Right. When we have to remember our patients have choices of where they go, and they need to be a part of their medical journey. They need to have a say and they need to feel heard. And that's one thing that we do very well at Tareen Dermatology. And one thing I love hearing because of where my office is I hear all of our assistants, all of our providers on the aesthetic side come out, they greet the patient by name, they introduce themselves, but then when they leave, they thank them and they
Yeah.
tell them to have a nice day and contact us with questions. And I think, again, it's how do you want your family members treated is how we treat every patient.
Yeah. No, I think that that's so important for sure too, with just having that human contact, you know, like almost making it feel like a genuine relationship rather than just like you coming in, getting your thing and then bye.
And no matter what treatment you're having, whether it be cosmetic, aesthetic, or medical, sometimes patients are nervous
Yeah.
and they need us just to be a calming presence for them,
Yeah.
talk them through what's happening. And I think that helps. We always want to educate our patients.
Yeah. No, for sure. And so you just opened 2 new clinics.
We do.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What goes into kind of preparing your team and also operation for a successful launch? Obviously, we just talked about a lot of the human aspect and the policies. Is there anything else that you think goes into it? I mean, I'm sure.
We've got checklists and
Yeah.
we meet routinely. Our board of directors meets every other week, and we go through these things and we make sure that our tasks are being completed, the beds are being ordered, all of the lab equipment, all of the aesthetic equipment is there ready to go. So when we hit the ground running on day one, our patients feel like we've been there for months, years, and we're ready for them.
Yeah. No,
Right.
I think a lot of times, like especially the patients, they kind of forget about all of the back end work that goes into it when opening, you know, even maybe like some of the providers that aren't as involved on that side of things, where it's like, okay, we have to do all of these back end things. Like we've got to make sure that we're crossing our
There's
T's,
garbage
dotting our
cans in the
I's.
room. There's table paper in the room. There's all the
Yeah.
equipment they need in the room. And then the MA staff and the front desk staff knows where everything is in the clinic.
Yeah. No,
There's
there's so many things
so
that go
many steps.
into.
And so we're good at checklists.
That's good. Yeah. And are you involved kind of in that back end process as well?
Everything with the cosmetic department, I'm
Yeah.
involved. So making sure that the equipment is ordered. If we're having lasers there at that location, I'll make sure that I've ordered it. The training is done on the staff there. Hydrofacial equipment, all of our retail product, I'm in charge of making sure that that's there and ready to go for patients to purchase.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And so I guess what all treatments do you guys kind of offer on the cosmetic side as
On the
well?
cosmetic side, we'll do the little med spa services from facials, microdermabrasions, dermaplaning, skin pen, hydrofacial, I said, PRP. We do a lot of hair, and then we go straight to those laser procedures, tattoo removal, CO2. We use the LaserMD Lutronic. We use it a lot for hair, but we can do some lighter resurfacing on that. We use Gentle Max lasers for laser hair reduction, brown spots, red spots, vessels. We're in central Minnesota. We see a lot of rosacea. We treat
Yeah.
acne. We've got BBL machines. So we're always looking to be on the cutting edge and giving our patients that best next level of care. And we do that by educating cosmetic and medical patients on their concern, right? So if they're in for a medical concern, our medical providers are still telling them what they can do cosmetically and what they can do medically, because a patient gets to choose, right? How they want
Yeah.
to treat that condition. It's our job to educate them on all the options.
Yeah. And I think that that's really, really important too, because if say you're coming in for, hyperpigmentation, your average patient is not going to know how to treat that. Like they're not going to know what treatment to ask for unless there is that education piece involved in it.
And our medical team has a great handoff, right? We offer complimentary consults with our advanced estheticians. They are so knowledgeable. They blow me my mind away every day with what they know. And I'm constantly learning from them because I'm not in the treatment room. I'm not an esthetician. And so I'm always in there asking questions. But the medical team will just hand them right over and say, you know what, I think you'd benefit from this. Let me get you set up with our estheticians and they can educate you even further.
Yeah. No, and that's such a great model for sure. And so I know we talked about this during our first conversation, and I thought it was really, really interesting because I haven't seen a lot of practices doing this, but you all bring in gap year students as medical assistants. So how has this kind of impacted operations and patient care, and what positives have you seen out of this for the students, the patients, the practice in general?
It is the best program I have ever seen by far. I mean, these gap year students come in and this is what they want to do with their life. They want to be providers, right? They want to be PAs, NPs, MDs, and this is just giving them a leg up to get into med school and be just set on their journey, but they're driven and they're passionate, and that's the kind of care we deserve, our patients deserve. And so they come in full of energy and we set them up for success. We do a boot camp when they come in, and it's 2 weeks of intense boot camp, and then they shadow a senior MA, and then they get set with their provider that they're with so that they learn the provider specific that they will work with, their preferences.
Yeah.
They're usually with us. Our gap year students are with us 1 to 3 years usually as they get accepted. We were just talking at a luncheon today. I think our acceptance rate for our gap year students is 98%.
Wow.
And we had our largest graduation year this year. We had 20 accepted.
Wow.
So we've got a big class coming in and we're so excited for them learning and growing. And I hear them interact with the patients. So for the patients, it's a win, right? Because they're getting people who really are passionate about learning and doing and providing them that care in the room. The providers are also getting to teach and continue to grow their skills, because when you teach and you do and you learn, you continue to learn and grow, right? A gap year MA might ask a question and someone's like, I never thought of it that way. That's a
Yeah,
great question. And so for our patients, it's a win.
for sure. And I
They're
feel
getting
like it's just so awesome too, combining all of these, like all of these different providers who are like minded, and they're also getting to work under people who have been in the industry for so much longer, and then also bringing in new ideas, like you mentioned, for those providers who have maybe been working for a long time, but they haven't been to medical school in a long time. So it's kind of just bringing all of those different perspectives into the same work environment.
And we've had several now that we've hired back after they've graduated. So that's been really fun because,
That
again,
is.
then they've got that perspective. They're more patient as we're learning. We really work with those gap year students. We work on their statements. We work on mock interviews. We invest in them and they invest in our patients.
Yeah, but that's super cool. That's such a cool program, and I feel like just really helpful, honestly, for everyone involved. And so I wanted to talk a little bit into some compliance and operational structure as well. And so what sparked the compliance overhaul and kind of your standard operating procedures development, and what impact has that had on the day-to-day operations with doing this overhaul of the current system and bringing in a new one?
So I think we had a system in place, right? But as people are there a long time, you kind of forget. And then
Yeah,
we are growing so fast. Is an esthetician that's at one of our locations an hour away doing a hydrofacial exactly the same as an esthetician at our location in Roseville?
yeah,
That's important to me.
for sure.
So then I looked at, we're bringing on, because we're growing so fast, we're bringing on all these new estheticians. Are they ready, first of all, to be at the level of cosmetic dermatology and speak that way? And so I needed a program that was also built in our compliance with that. And so that's where I really went and said, we just need to start fresh, look at every service we have, rewrite an SOP, protocols, competency tests, and that's what we do now. It's at every location. And that's also what's helped us to grow and scale, right? Because
Yeah.
we've got those in place. When I hire a new esthetician, they're not free to treat patients. They will watch minimum of 3 of each service. They will do and be evaluated on 3 of those services. And based on that feedback, I will determine if I'll sign off on that service or not. And then they have a written competency test that what are the contraindications? Who is a candidate for this? What is the outcomes that we look for? How do we handle a complication? It protects the practice, it protects the patient, and it protects the provider. And that's
Yeah.
why it was so important. And you have to review those policies anytime you bring in a new service line, and at least minimally annually,
Yeah.
preferably, twice a year. So we've got a great team that they're compliant with that. They like that. It's protection for, like I said, them and their patients.
Yeah, and it's really setting up too for if you do continue to scale and open more locations, like you said, it's going to be the best system for that as well, with making sure if, say, a patient lives between 2 of the clinics, they go to one, they're not like, why is this facial completely different from the one that I got a month ago?
Yes, we like consistency. We like
Yeah.
consistency. And so the other thing we just did, kind of in conjunction with compliance, is I sent in secret shoppers to our location. I think I sent 6 secret shoppers into different locations, but I wanted to know the whole experience. I wanted
Yeah.
to know their scheduling to their checkout. And so I sent out a whole bunch. I said that we had sent silent auction certificates out so that we would probably be getting inundated with these so my staff didn't question it.
Yeah.
And the feedback, it was fantastic and surprising that consistent, very happy. They were greeted, they were told what to expect, they were thanked when they left. And so I'm so excited. I haven't even shared that with my team yet, that I get to share that with them at our next meeting
That is
and
exciting.
really give them praise for what a
Yeah, and it sounds like everybody had a really good experience and was just like the whole process, it sounds like, was enjoyable and simple, like nothing with the scheduling even was like, because sometimes that can be another issue, scheduling, or maybe even like the follow up after the appointments and things like that.
And that's it's not just what happens in the treatment room. Patients judge you on every interaction they have with you. And it's our job to make sure that we are giving the white glove treatment at every step of the way.
Yeah.
And if we're not, we need to learn and grow from that, right?
Yeah.
So
No.
the secret shopping is very important.
Yeah, no, that is. And it's cool too that you got such positive feedback from it. That's exciting.
Very exciting.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. And so, what is your vision kind of for growth with the cosmetic side of the business? I know that you talked about with the medical providers, they're providing education. What else are you doing to grow kind of that side of the business as well?
Great question. Thank you. So usually once a month, I bring in a trainer from one of our injectable companies, and they work with the providers, making sure that our techniques are up to date. We're really on trend with what we should be doing injection wise. So I'm building that training. Also having our liaisons and any MA who wants to sit in and listen and learn from those. What is the product? How does it work? The more education you give people, the better they can educate our patients. And
Yeah.
so we're really, really always working on a training program for the injections. And then for me, the goal for the next couple years is to really get all of our locations running at full capacity with all of our service lines, and then continuing to open more practices.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And so you talked a little bit about services earlier. And so, how do you kind of decide what is the best new thing to bring into the practice? Because there's obviously so much
So
out.
many.
There's so much out there, and different people want different things, but obviously there's stuff that is more cutting edge, or maybe, just more people know about it even. So what kind of are those deciding factors with bringing in a new treatment?
First, we look at where are our holes, right? If there's something new on the market, who else is offering it in our area? Do we believe in that technology? Does Dr. Tareen believe in it? Do the estheticians believe in it? Is it safe and effective? What is the price point? And then, of course, on the back end of the business wise, right, we're looking at what does that look like for us? How much does that cost? What's the outlay? What's the training look like? And that's kind of the process we go through. We really do a full analysis. And for me, I always want to know, I want to talk to the reps. Doesn't mean
Yeah.
I'm going to buy something from you, but I want my team to be able to say, you know what, we don't offer this, we have this, and here's why.
Yeah.
And so, because patients just they hear BBL, they don't hear IPL, or they don't know about, because a lot of companies do better job marketing.
Yeah.
And for us, it's not all about that. It's about how do we get the best outcome for the
Yeah.
patient. And so we need to be able to speak to the equipment we have and why we have.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. I think sometimes on like social media or even, on your website, you can get ads for all these different things. And so you're like, oh my gosh, like I need this, or I forget, it was a laser company. It was like a few years ago. I think they did like really heavy marketing and people were going in and asking for it. And sometimes places wouldn't have it, but they'd have something that does the exact
Similar.
same thing, or similar. And so, yeah, it's so interesting, but it is like you talked about, and we talked about it earlier. The education piece is so important of letting them know, okay, we don't have this, but we have this, and you're going to get really similar outcomes.
Again, it comes down to educating. You can do a series of skin pen and get great results with PRP, or you can do a CO2. Now, some people aren't a candidate for CO2 because they're Fitzpatrick, right? Then we need to give them other options. And so for me, it's looking at where are the holes in our treatment and filling those first.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. And so, obviously, with you all expanding, how do you kind of maintain your company culture within Tareen Dermatology and making sure that, everyone, like, patients are accommodated to, your practitioners are accommodated to, and they are kind of experiencing that company culture?
We have a lot of networking. Our providers have journal club once a quarter where they get together and they talk through how they're building some policies on different things. My team meets monthly, and sometimes it's remote, sometimes we'll all come together in person. Our board of directors is every other week we meet, but daily we're communicating. And
Yeah.
we also are good at not just staying at our home main location hub. We're all over the place. I was in 4 different locations this week.
Yeah.
We're present, we're available, we're great at communicating through email and chats and answering right away. We have all staff meetings, everyone on site at all 9 of our locations, and computer screens and everything so that we can be one big team as we
Yeah.
grow. I mean, we're over 200 employees, and so we need to know who each other are and how to communicate with each other quickly.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's definitely very important, especially with expansion, because it's funny, like when you're at 200 people, it's like some people could not even know each other. But it's like, how do we mitigate that and make sure that people, are in contact and like they're sharing ideas too, because that's important as well.
It is. And we get out and we round and we network. Anytime I go to a location, I talk to the front desk. I go in the lab. I talk to the medical assistants. I'll go in and I'll talk to the provider that's on that site. I always check in with our provider, our esthetician there. What do you need? What's going great here? Anything I can help with, whether it's the cosmetic department or not.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's awesome. Well, thank you so, so much for coming on and talking about all things cosmetic dermatology and then also Tareen Dermatology as well. I would love for you to tell my listeners, where is the best place to find you? Where is the best place to find Tareen Dermatology online?
You can go to TareenDermatology.com online. You can find me at Mindy S at TareenDermatology.com.
Awesome. Thank you so,
Thank
so
you
much. I
for
really
having
appreciate
me.
it. Yeah, of course.
Thank you.